The Unity disaster gets worse.
All right, yesterday I talked about the fall of Unity, and today I'm talking about it again. Why? Because it continues to get much, much worse.
Ooh.
The picture continues to change, and because I'm now fascinated by it. Long story short, watching a company implode like this and scratching my head as to why makes me want to figure it all out. If not for certain, then at least plausible speculation on what the reasons might be, the secret agendas, or the hidden motivations. I'm not going to bore everyone with a lengthy recap of stuff they've already heard, because most people probably understand the gist of it already. However, the crux of the issue is this. Unity Technologies, a video game software company responsible for making the Unity game engine, has recently adjusted their fee structure. On top of a flat subscription service, they will now charge game developers per install, with retroactive terms of service changes, and that monetization scheme will have a severe negative impact on a great deal of
It's like a reverse sponsorship, where instead of them paying you for every install, you pay them.
Projects. Going further, they deliberately pulled down their own transparency GitHub repo, tracking changes like this, and reversed a number of commitments from years prior about having the best interests of the community at heart. In essence, they destroyed the totality of their goodwill, jeopardized a multitude of projects, angered the entire industry, top to bottom, and they did all of it for what? More money?
Yeah.
Sure. The CEO is an industry paragon of how to squeeze more money from an audience.
He is.
I discussed that last time, but deeper than that, it seems like there must be something more sinister happening. Avoiding the topics I focused on last time, you can just go watch the prior video if you want to hear about those. Let's take a look at the board of directors. We already know about John Riccitiello, however you say that, the CEO. He sold a...
That's the supervillain who wanted to charge people $1 for bullets after they play the game for hours, so they're hooked.
When you are 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip, and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not very price sensitive at that point in time.
Yeah, he was a former EA CEO.
Bit of his stock right before this all
per reload.
happened. He was the former CEO at EA Games. He wanted to charge gamers per reload in the heat of the moment when price aversion was lowest. And the industry hates him for good reason. But who's this guy?
Well, the industry doesn't hate him. The public-facing people whose presence online is related to an actual audience of consumers hate him. The industry fucking loves him. That's why he's the CEO. Now the industry hates him, but it wasn't until now.
Tomar Barziv. Credit where credit is due. Tugging on this thread is the result of a post on r/Unity from a user named Zijit. I'll link to that down below. Tomar Barziv is on the board of directors at Unity, but he is also the CEO of a company called IronSource. Now, IronSource itself is an important piece of the potential puzzle because IronSource actually merged in November of 2022 with Unity Technologies. This, at the time, was a $4.4 billion deal. Pretty big. But the landscape surrounding that deal is what matters most. For reference, IronSource is a company that specializes in mobile game development, monetization, and distribution. Okay, so Tomar Barziv, sitting on the board of directors at Unity Technologies and also CEO of IronSource, is a figure of interest.
It always goes back to mobile games. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
But it turns out that when you go down the list of Unity insiders who are selling stock in the company, this guy is by far the most aggressive. Over the past year alone, according to Fintel, it appears that Tomar Barziv has sold upwards of $20 million in Unity stock, which is interesting to say the very least.
Well, how much did he have, though? Because, like, if he was part of a merger with his own company, he probably has over 100 or 200 mil in stock. So if he sells over $1 million or 20 million, that's less than potentially 10%. So I don't know. I want to see what this percentage-wise is, because there's plenty of times where people diversify their stocks for a multitude of reasons that doesn't necessarily have to do with any insider trading. It's on the right side, remaining shares. Okay, let me see. So how much did he start with?
Has sold upwards of $20 million in Unity stock, which is interesting.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, he used to have, is that 4,000 total? Or 4 million, I mean? Oh, that's a lot more. Okay.
Interesting to say the very least. Now, remember that $4.4 billion merger between Unity Technologies and IronSource? Well, it turns out that deal had a number of, shall we say, complications. First, at the same time as this $4.4 billion deal, or merger, was taking place, a company called AppLovin made a competing offer to buy out Unity completely for $20 billion. But Unity rejected this deal, citing that the deal, quote, would not reasonably be expected to result in a superior proposal, end quote. I find that exceptionally odd on a personal level, given that the comparable market capitalization at the time was significantly below $20 billion, making this an offer that came with a sizable upside premium.
I see. So he's going to try to draw the correlation that they didn't sell because they knew that they were going to do this thing in the future. And then this is indication of intent of them using insider trading and hedging their bets. I think that's what he's going to try to do.
Still, the deal with IronSource would leave Unity in control, while the deal with AppLovin would reduce them to 49% voting rights.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a bit complicated, and they rejected the offer. Anyway, after rejecting AppLovin, Unity merged with IronSource, and now the CEO of IronSource, Tomar Barziv, as we've said, sells tens of millions of dollars worth of stock, while the company destroys every shred of community goodwill that it has, but it gets better. During the deal with IronSource, 2 investment companies, Sequoia Capital and Silver Lake, pledged to come on board with $1 billion invested in the deal itself.
Wow.
That's honestly peanuts compared to AppLovin, but when the deal eventually did come through, 2 more people, one from each of those companies, joined Unity's board of directors, Egon Durbin and Rolaf Botha. These nuts. Starting with Egon Durbin, he is a founding principal and managing director at Silver Lake, which it now appears, I shit you not, has sold the entirety of their directly held remaining stock in Unity Technologies, disclosed as of yesterday. Also,
I think there's something fishy going on here. Yeah.
So, Egon Durbin, once again, big shout out to Zijit over on Reddit. The connections here are fascinating, and I wouldn't have known about half of them without their post.
Wow.
Egon Durbin was embroiled in scandal when he advised Elon Musk about the potential to take Tesla private. That was a whole fiasco with a legal quagmire where Elon said he was going to take the company private, and then the SEC got involved, etc., etc. But Egon Durbin still has major ties to both Twitter and Musk, as shareholders attempted to oust him and failed in the wake of Musk's infamous takeover. Well, now that we have Elon Musk in the mix, once again, let's double down. Egon Durbin came on board through Silver Lake, but Rolaf Botha came on board with Sequoia Capital. Yeah, Rolaf Botha is part of what's commonly referred to as the PayPal Mafia, alongside Elon Musk. The PayPal Mafia, for those that don't know, is a list of former employees and founders at PayPal who have since gone on to create a giant spider web of technology companies.
Oh, that's fucking amazing. Bro, this is like a fucking comic book. I love this. This is amazing. Yeah, the lore. Oh my god. The Legion of Doom.
It includes names like Peter Thiel, Chad Hurley, co-founder of YouTube, Yishan Wong, founder of Reddit, and yes, Rolaf Botha, a partner now at Sequoia Capital, sitting on the board of directors at Unity. Get this. In October of 2022, Rolaf Botha was predicting success, quote unquote, for Elon Musk at Twitter, stating that his firm, Sequoia Capital, conducted due diligence.
And this is the guy. Yeah, I bet they did.
And the business model can be improved. But let's expand on that comparison. See, Twitter actually made radical changes to their API pricing model not long after Elon's takeover. And those changes are not dissimilar to those of Unity. Personally, I ran up against this when trying to map these huge political bot networks with my team, and now I can't do that because I got locked out of the API based on those changes, and I can't afford to pay thousands of dollars per month to do it. Hosting costs have long been the elephant in the room for tech companies. The more traffic you get, the more expensive it is, and Twitter decided to start ruthlessly charging developers for API requests.
Oh, yeah.
That resulted in a lot of applications being deprecated because they just simply couldn't afford the costs being passed down to them in such a way, and the trend is far from over. Reddit, much like Twitter, went down a very similar route, opting to start...
Yeah, Reddit got shit on, but I remember whenever Twitter did this, everybody was like, nobody really gave a fuck about this at all. Reddit did the same change? Yeah, they did. That's why they had the Reddit blackout.
Spontaneously charging for API usage, and Reddit CEO Steve Huffman is on record praising Elon Musk's new monetization tactics for Twitter as a platform, explicitly saying that their conversations had been inspiring for him. Flash forward today, and we now see Unity...
I wonder how much... I actually wonder how many people buy Twitter Blue. Because I see people with the check marks all over the place. I don't know. I bet a lot of people do. Yeah. And they're spamming ads. Like, I wonder if how much money Twitter's actually making, because people are either saying Twitter's making a lot of money or Twitter's losing a ton of money. But I feel like they're saying that because they don't like or they do like Twitter. But I wonder what the actual numbers are.
Opting to continue that very same trend. Logistically, protecting game developers from bad actors will now be completely impossible because every time you spin up a virtual machine, it's a brand new install, right? And they have no way to differentiate that, and you could easily target developers if you wanted to. But focusing on the casual mobile game market, remember, Unity accepted an Iron Source merger at $4.4 billion instead of a merger with AppLovin, valued at $20 billion. Focusing on the casual mobile market, we see this right here. Unity is offering a runtime fee waiver if you switch to level play as it tries to kill AppLovin. Would you look at that?
The people that are trying to fuck it. Oh, man.
Level play is a service from Iron Source. Here's a much better visualization of what's actually happening from a user named Sososki on Twitter. The yellow indicates the portion of development.
I don't feel like that's... I mean, Iron Source merges with Unity, and then they try to freeze out somebody who was trying to buy them out at a price that they felt wasn't good. I feel like, yeah, this is kind of... It's cutthroat, but it's not corrupt.
Who will now lose between 10 and 25% of their revenue with Unity's new terms of service. The orange, they stand to lose between 25 and 50% of their revenue. Red can lose between 50 and 100%, and that scary black line off to the left, not huge, but it is there.
Yeah.
That's the area where these new terms will bankrupt your company because Unity decided to charge you more money per install than your app is even making.
Okay, so these are the amount of downloads, and this is the revenue per download. Oh, wow. This is such a good chart. I love this. Oh, shit. Look at this. So these are the amount of people that are making the money. Okay, wow. So if you're in this black line, you get bankrupted by default. Holy shit. And also the dark red, like the maroon color too. Orange, they only take 25 to 50% of your money. That's not really so bad, right?
We're mostly talking about small-scale free mobile applications and games.
And Unity can make the argument that, do you want to know where I would say 90% of the 90% of the people from Unity are in? I'll show you. 90% of the Unity users and the people that are doing it are probably right about here. So it's not actually going to affect a lot of them. And what this does is it allows Unity to say, and for it to be technically true, that almost nobody will be affected by this. But what it leaves out is that a lot of people download Unity without the purpose or the goal of making it a massive commercial pursuit. They're downloading it for another purpose. They're downloading it to train. They're downloading it to teach themselves. They're downloading it so they can work on something else with like another company. They download it for any other reason, right? So it's like they can say that 99% of people won't be affected by this, and it can be a technically true statement while at the same time being disingenuous because of the way that like the revenue is weighted. It's massively
Even if I have
misleading.
my gripes with the mobile game market, those people still...
It's like using median instead of mean, you know, or vice versa, depending on the statistic.
...will have jobs and deserve fair treatment. Let's go big picture here. Unity is being raked over the coals, rightly so, for their decision to implement aggressive pricing on their customer base. That decision emulates a pattern that began with Twitter, was mirrored by Reddit, and is now making its way through the broader markets. The decision itself appears to be aimed at killing a competing service after Unity actually rejected a buyout offer from that service's owner in favor of a merger with Iron Source, who stands to gain the most from this entire controversy. Absolutely. Meanwhile, the CEO of Iron Source and the directors who came on board through Sequoia Capital and Silver Lake during the deal relentlessly dump their stock in Unity, standing to gain massively as the business gets funneled into level play. The vouchers, that's the key. Anecdotes are beginning to surface right now more and more where developers are being offered runtime fee waivers to switch over, and some are being told that their fees will be covered with credits because they already use Iron Source as their ad provider. The golden goose here...
Receive credits on cover 100%. So they're trying... I see. Okay, that's very cute. So they're trying to force a switch.
Is Iron Source.
That's
and
clever.
The gaming developers being affected are just casualties of a hidden agenda.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there are still ways for developers to fight back. As an example, there was recently a collective letter from game companies announcing that they will be turning off Unity and ironSource ad monetization in retaliation, which is probably the single most effective action they can possibly take. This entire move appears to be designed as a funnel to steal market share from AppLovin through insanely damaging policy shifts, but when the advertising revenue starts to take a hit, companies do actually take notice. There are some big names backing this letter: Azure, Voodoo, Century Games, etc. And as the dust settles and the real targets become clear, reality continues to dawn that Unity may have just completely killed their own business entirely.
Well, they did that, but they were trying to kill a bigger business, right? I mean, it's a long shot. I mean, this might have worked, right? Because you've got to look at it from their perspective. Like, Twitter did this, Reddit did this. Why can't they do this?
Turn back, I guess, but no one will ever trust them again, period. They could stay the course and maybe...
And it's like, I'll tell you why they can't do it. It's actually very simple, is that Unity is a business-to-business business, and Twitter and Reddit are business-to-consumer. So that means that business-to-business like relationships operate on a much higher level of trust and long-term trust. And that's why this damages Unity way more than it would damage Reddit or Twitter. Because the people are fucking stupid. But the companies that are building a castle on what is effectively sand, they're realizing it, and they're saying, never mind, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, people don't care, companies do, exactly. Yeah, companies have accountability for this, because companies need to be accountable for this, because a lot of them literally are by fiduciary responsibility, because they could be publicly traded. So that's why it's not going to work for Unity.
Funnel a fair number of projects into level play over at ironSource, which appears to be the actual goal. But how high is the cost of that action? Casual mobile gaming might be the future of the industry from a raw numbers perspective. It might be the largest vertical out there even in terms of player count, but it's not the only one. And taking the type of reputational hit that they have already taken doesn't exactly seem worth it to me. Who knows? Twitter did something vaguely similar right off the bat and never looked back.
Well, it's because Twitter already had 50 other problems. That's really what the difference is. And also, like, everybody is already coded to either like or not like Twitter to begin with, because they either like or don't like Elon Musk. So there's really no objective viewing of any of this. The Reddit stuff, the reason why people sided with Reddit is that the only thing that's more annoying than corporate overlords are subreddit overlords, moderators, people that have a sense that everybody else needs to listen to them. They want to tell everybody what to do on their own little subreddit. So nobody who's like, they're the losers. At least the corporate guys are making a lot of money. At least they've got a nice car. This guy does the same fucking thing, and he's living in his mom's fucking basement. He's a loser. And also, I can't look at pictures of titties because the subreddit got put on private. No, I don't care about this. Remember the basketball subreddit? Bro, you think basketball fans give a fuck about a Reddit API? They don't even know what that is. API? Shut the fuck up. What is that, a Pokemon? Turn it on. And for Twitter, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. Elon Musk was loved before he bought Twitter? No, he wasn't. I think that Elon Musk... Elon Musk started being disliked whenever he started involving himself in social politics. Right? Like, as soon as he started involving himself in, like, trans issues or in other social issues... any of that stuff, I think that's whenever people really start. Yeah, the Dogecoin. I think Dogecoin, people didn't really care about that so much. Yeah, I think Joe Rogan Experience was kind of the turning point. And I'm not making a judgment on this, right? I don't give a fuck. Like, you don't need to tell me, like, listen, I know you're typing out your opinion about Elon Musk right now. Just remember that your chat's going to be like, you see the screen?
Hopped on board soon.
It's gone. See? Do you remember what was in the middle here? Probably not. It was gone. Literally nobody cares about what your opinion on him is. And it's instantly deleted. It's been finished. So don't waste your time. My point is that a lot of the public scrutiny was already on him at that point. And I think that what had happened is that people will support Elon Musk in whatever he does, even if it's bad. And some people will not support him in whatever he does, even if it's good. He's become one of those polarizing people.
Twitter did something vaguely similar right off the bat and never looked back.
Yep.
Reddit hopped on board soon after, And maybe Unity is just third in line for the new industry norm, trailblazing as they go, but somehow this one seems a bit different. The anger seems more physical even, and the consequences are ramping up fast.
Yeah.
Final example here, it seems pertinent to back up what I'm saying for this part. Unity decided to close 2 of its offices in mid-September after, quote, credible threats, unquote, but those threats were made by their own employee. The company is being ripped apart at the seams, and honestly, I'm not sad to see it. Sure, the threats are overkill, there's no place for that, obviously, but it demonstrates that we've crossed a line between typical outrage, or online grumbling, as some people call it, and actual consequences for their actions. All in all, when
I don't really think that there's a lot to say about a death threat. Like, it's one unhinged person, I don't really think is a lot to, like, and especially because it's a person at the company. Like, I wouldn't put it past them that, like, it was done on purpose. I really wouldn't. Like, everything that I read about the leadership and the people that are involved with this just seems really shady. And, like, if I was them and I was operating on that level of, like shady stuff, I would probably do that too. Because the truth is that it worked. It actually caused a lot of mainstream media outlets to stop promoting and talking about negative stuff about Unity for like a whole day. And it also got them to run defense for Unity and say, oh, this is wrong, don't do this. So it actually worked.
I made the video yesterday.
One day is all you need. Because here's the way that a lot of media goes, right? Is that everybody shits on a company, everybody hates something for like a period of time. And it doesn't matter what it is. I think COVID's a great example, right? People are saying COVID's coming back. Does anybody here actually care about what the death rate is? Is that actually going to make you want to wear a mask again? If they say the death rate is as bad as it was in 2020, would you start wearing a mask again? No. Why is that? It's because people's give a fuck meter has been depleted. And there is a time limit on the give a fuck meter that people have. That's just how it is. And I use COVID as an example because COVID is a direct threat to your physical safety. At worst, right? Like, do not try to educate me on what you think COVID is. But that is what a lot of people believe it to be. So the point is that if people don't have a give a fuck meter that is unlimited for something that is potentially a direct threat to their physical safety, imagine how much their give a fuck meter is depleted for something that doesn't even affect them at all. So having somebody miss just simply one day of negative coverage, people just lose interest. Brain dead ass take. It is a brain dead ass take. You're absolutely right. And do you know why? It's because most people are brain dead. I'm right.
I didn't think it could get much worse. I figured the situation would die down, if anything, but no, it has not. Decidedly has not. The agendas and motives in play here are fascinating, whatever they ultimately might be, and I really wanted to talk about it. That's it. Links are down below to support. Please consider Patreon, locals, or channel memberships. AdSense is extremely unreliable these days, and as I get back into the full swing of much more frequent content generation, it's just a helpful thing for me to have. There's more, like a cybersecurity product affiliate list, social media, etc., but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.
I'm glad I watched this one. I didn't even know about some of these little connections. I'm glad to know about this.